Hey, hello, and welcome to the Referral Sender show. Believe it or not, we're at episode 8 on this Friday, October 9th, 2020. This is the show we invite guests to bring their business expertise to you. As our goal is to make sure your business is here for good. And I'm along here with my co-host, Ken Bynes. And we got an awesome topic today where we're going to be bringing in a special guest from the Eagle Scouts, Allie and Darel Roa. But first of all, I'd like to see, hey, Ken, how's things are going before we bring in Darel and Allie?
It's going good. I've been noticing a lot of weather change lately. A lot of coldness coming in. So, been, layering up, which is really, really fun. I love jackets. But, things been kind of, just typical, nice, easy week. Over the weekend, I didn't really do too much. Sat around with the kids and played video games and, just packed my face in with hamburgers. We had like a hamburger fiesta pretty much, but just a really nice weekend, just really nice, easy. How about you?
Oh yeah, the weather's changing. Just looking out right now, it's like, okay, so here comes the rain. We'll probably see sunshine. What is it, July 5th? Because we never have sunshine on July 4th. So we're here. The fall is here. Things are good. It's kind of a light day of traffic. I always like to give the traffic report. So as just looking out over here on 20th Street and 5, clear all the way. There's no 5 high school down there. There's no students out there, so you can fly down 20th. Just remember, keep it under 25 because the 5 cops are out there trying to make their quota today.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
I noticed down too is the Puyallup police down off of Valley Highway, right in front of CarMax. They're out there with their motorcycles too, so they're watching you too. So just keep the speed down, guys.
Speed low, 2 under, not 2 over.
Yes. But yeah, everything's going good with me and stuff. But I'd like to bring on our guest today is Darel Roa. You probably remember Darel with Darel Roa Photography. He was our guest probably 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we brought him back for more, and we're going to bring Allie on. So let's bring on Darel and Allie into our studio.
Good morning.
Welcome,
hey,
Darel.
Good morning. Hey, Allie. Well, welcome. Welcome to the studio. It's a pleasure to have you here. Darel's you're the scoutmaster then for your troop then, correct?
Actually, my title is Charter Organization Representative. Isn't that a mouthful?
Wow, that is.
What does that mean, Darel?
COR for short.
Okay.
What a lot of folks don't understand is that Boy Scouts of America owns 0 scouting units. None. Nada.
Okay.
Every single scouting unit in the United States of America is sponsored or chartered or owned by another entity. And that entity is typically like a school PTA, a Rotary Club, Kiwanis, a church, and in some cases a individual organization will be set up just for that particular scouting unit. So in our case, Allie and I are part of the Mountain View Lutheran Scouting Organization, which has 4 scouting units, all the way from age 5 through age 21. And then there's some of us that just don't want to give up our Peter Pan thoughts, and we continue on with scouting, even though our own children have finished the program for the time being.
Very cool. Very cool. And then you guys are local here in 5 Milton, Edgewood, and Bonnie Lake.
Yeah.
FME.
Wow,
that's awesome.
FME.
So in your troop, you have from all the way from the Cub Scouts all the way to Eagle Scouts. Or explain a little more about the scouting. I kind of fill us in. I was a Cub Scout way back in the day, but besides that, I can't remember too much about the scouting program.
And I always wanted to be part of the Boy Scouts, but just never fell into it. I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club all the time as a kid, but lay some information down. I'm kind of curious about this.
Yeah. Allie, do you want to?
Yeah. So we have Cub Scouts, which is, for younger kids, generally in elementary school. And then there, you have your bears, your tigers, your wolves, all of that. So that's for the younger scouts, just teaching them, having fun. And then we also have the boys troop. So that's Troop 525 BT, board troop. And so they're And then we also have the girl troop, which is what I'm a part of, and we're sort of like brother-sister troop.
Okay.
And we also have venturing, and venturing is like a more high adventure program, and that's the one that goes from 14 to 21.
Okay.
Okay.
That's another program that we have.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I didn't realize it went all the way to 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of high adventure, so older people.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
So do each age group do different activities? Like, can you go more in detail on that?
Yeah, so Cub Scouts focus more on just, some basic things, maybe a few knots, but, learning how to like have fun. They might go to like some Cub camps, which are just day camps. Do little camping, get involved, dip your toes in. And then Boy Scouts or Scouts, which is what I'm a part of and what our boy troop does. We do a lot more, skills, fire building, survival, trying not to die in the wilderness, camping. So we go to like scout camp every year, camp outs. And then venturing is more of like high adventure. So they might go backpacking or might do rock climbing or some of those more, bit more adventurous things.
Oh, so it's kind of like Man versus Wild, like Bear Grylls. Like you guys are out there.
Speaking of which, Bear Grylls is the worldwide ambassador for scouting.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
That's a good one to have as an ambassador.
If you look him up, you will actually see him in uniform and at scouting events. It's pretty cool.
No way.
Wow.
That's insane. I used to watch his shows all the time.
Now they don't make you go out in the wilderness with nothing and just live off the land, or do they?
We're not that, we're not that
well,
we're not having to drink or anything, but
there are actually some merit badges that you could earn that involve spending a night by yourself out in the woods.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I heard a little bit of hesitation. I was like, that's pretty neat. Do you get yours yet, Darel? Have you ever went out there yet like that?
Have I been out in the?
Yeah, where you just lived off them?
Yes. Yeah, actually, we've done some of that. Allie probably is familiar with Order of the Arrow. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah, Order of the Arrow is a honor society within scouting that the other scouts actually will elect the individual to be a part of. And Order of the Arrow does a lot of service projects, but they also do what they call they do a vigil, which is an overnight experience. And there's many of us, adults as well as scouts, who have been through that. My own experience happened to be in the Mojave Desert, spending a night with other young people. And part of our process was not speaking for the entire day. That was a tough one. And I don't know what they do exactly these days, but our breakfast consisted of a piece of bread and a prune. And the prune, we were advised to make sure that we hang onto all day long, because if you keep that in your mouth, that'd keep your saliva going.
Right.
So we had all sorts of water, but there was a little bit of deprivation there to make the experience a little more memorable.
Right. That's pretty neat. That's actually pretty neat. I wouldn't have mind experiencing that. How about you, Allie? Have you ever experienced that yet? Have you tried?
Well, because of COVID and everything, I did mine virtually. So we were on Zoom meetings, and then me and my mom both went through the experience, and so my dad helped run it. So I ended up sleeping in my backyard, just like tarp in a sleeping bag. Pretty bad sleep, but and then the morning we woke up, we were given like little food, and then I went and did a service project all day, and we weren't allowed to talk. So I had something like it, just less in the desert.
Right. I know.
What's this thing about you can't talk? Because Darel says he couldn't talk either, which I can't believe that he made it through the night without talking.
So OA is a lot about like centering yourself, sort of like working on service. And by not talking, it gave us time to reflect, think about what we're doing, what's the actual meaning. So it's more like centering yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's deep. Yeah. Yeah. So you can actually reflect on what you're going through and actually learn from the choices that you're making out in the wilderness by yourself. So that survivor technique, that's really smart. Yeah. Oh, so another question I had, what is the training protocols for you guys from being a Cub Scout to a Boy Scout? What different types of training do you guys do to earn your guys' badges?
Oh, okay. So in terms of requirements, I know for Cub Scouts, I was never a part of the Cub Scouts program. I got to watch my brother be part of it, but not me personally. But I know that they did a lot of some small activities, like they'd like have to maybe learn how to tie knots or have to learn just like how to be careful with the knife or maybe a bit of cooking. And so a lot of like easier focused basic skills. And then when you get to Scouts, you do a lot more outdoor skills. And then from Scout rank to first class rank, those are like some of the ranks. You mostly focus on Scout skills, surviving the wilderness 101. So you're learning knots, how to start a fire, cooking, swimming, first aid, all that good stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then once you get to Star, then it's more about leadership. How can you help the younger Scouts get to the point where you are and get to Eagle? And so right now I'm a life rank, and so working on my Eagle, I had to lead an Eagle project, which I just finished a bit ago. So I had to make sure we did a huge service project up in the park in Bonnie Lake. It's a lot about leadership. And then venturing, it's more about planning high adventures. So they might, we're going to go on this big backpacking trip. I'm going to plan it. We're going to have meals this day, supply drop off that day. So that's what venturing is more about.
Wow.
So what was your project you did for the Eagle Scout up in Bonnie Lake, the park?
So it was up at Midtown Park, which it's a bit obscure, but it's right behind the Fred Meyer and the movie theater in Bonnie Lake. And so what I did, there are some unfinished trails that they had, but overall the park sort of had like a bad reputation. There was a high school student who got stabbed a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so I went through, we widened the trail, some places like tripling it even, and then we went through spread bark over it, and then we put up signs, and so I basically made a trail, and it got named Alley-Oop Trail, which not my idea, but I like it.
That's cool. That's cool, though.
Now,
do you ever get a trail named after you?
I don't have that honor that I know of.
See, you're accomplishing a lot already, Allie.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you have a sign that says the Alley Trail?
Yeah, so it says the Alley-Oop Trail, and then it's only 0.4 miles, and then we also have one that there's a little mini trail that we also bark that leads to the shopping, like Chipotle, and I nicknamed that Chipotle.
I like it. Gentlemen, as you go around our community, you can encourage our viewers to keep their eyes open, especially in our parks and at schools and churches. There are Eagle Scout projects all over town, literally hundreds of them. Wow. And so what Allie is describing is just one of 5 that I'm aware of that our troop has had something to do with in the last, 2 months.
Oh, wow.
So how do we know if it's an Eagle Scout project? Is there a sign then that has your name and then like the Eagle, it says Eagle Scout or?
So generally projects, they might have like a plaque saying like Eagle Project, their name, and then like the year and the troop. I know of another Eagle project in Bonnie Lake, Bat Boxes, and they have a plaque giving all of his info about his project.
Oh, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're up at Nelson Nature Farm or Nelson Nature Park, though I know there's dozens of Scout projects up in those 2 parks.
Yeah.
As examples.
Now, where's Nelson Nature Park?
It's always hard to find for the first time.
Okay.
It's not too far from Edgemont Junior High, just east of there. And originally it was the Nelson Farms who eventually donated the land for the public use. So I'm familiar with, there are trails through the park area.
Yeah. And
maintenance of that, as well as some of the structures on the trail, the bridges, the signs showing what the flora and fauna are.
Okay.
The plant life.
Yeah.
Scouts have gone through and cleaned up some of the invasive species. In other words, they've had to learn what plants belonged in this park and what plants had been brought in that did not necessarily belong there. And so they've helped clean that up. There are some benches in that park that are Eagle Scout projects. I believe the kiosk itself, which is the big sign that tells everybody what's what in the park, are there. And then adjacent or very nearby is the other part of Nelson Nature, or actually it's the Nelson Farm Park, and that is community gardens. Wow. And I just saw that one of our Scout projects up there was adding, there are already probably 3 or 4 or 5 additions to raised garden beds. So the community members can sign up and actually have a place they can garden, even if they're an apartment dweller.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Really?
I didn't even know about this. I grew up in Edgewood, so.
Wow.
There are, actually, that could be a whole nother discussion at some point.
Yeah.
There are community gardens all over town. And some of them supply families, and some of them people just do for the pleasure of it and then take the produce to our local food banks. So a lot of good stuff going on there. And there's some Scout projects that sometimes have to do with the food banks too, aren't there?
Wow. Well, the Scouts do everything.
Yeah. Man.
They're handy to have around. From time to time, you will see, people's lives have been saved from Scouts. That's probably the one end of it. But just a lot of community service. Let's see. One of the thoughts I had was, Ellie, did you ever get a chance to go up and visit the Bangor, the submarines?
Oh, I did not ever get a chance, no.
Well, if you get the chance, please do. And that would hold true for anybody else that gets that opportunity. It's sometimes a little difficult to get into, go through all the hoops and get into a group that allows you to take a tour of our nuclear submarines. Those things are incredible. But the reason for this story is our Scouts typically will have enough connections to be able to take that tour every couple of years. The last time I was up there with our Scouts, and it's fascinating as you go through the securities, different levels of security. Yes, that is a real 50 cal over there.
Just ready.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple of dozen Scouts eating at the commissary there at Bangor on base.
Yeah.
And I think they ran their ice cream machine dry because it was all you could eat. They were just having a great time. So as we're sitting there in the mess hall, all these Scouts in uniform, this young sailor comes running up to the tables and looks around and says, hey guys, I heard you were coming. I wanted to come and meet you. He says, I'm an Eagle Scout. I work here. He says, I want you to know 2 things. One, much of what I learned in scouting, I use here on my job with the Navy. Wow. 2, they pay me more because I'm an Eagle.
I like that.
So there are benefits to having completed your Eagle Scout rank.
Wow. It's kind of like a fraternity. So you stay in contact with all the Eagle Scouts probably throughout a lifetime then.
You said that very well, and that's exactly correct. The phrase is once an Eagle, always an Eagle.
I like that.
And
I bet it works for trying to get a job when you put that on your resume. And if your boss is an Eagle Scout, is just like
it can be amazing. It can be the deciding factor a lot of times. Yeah, we think about. It seems to me, don't we have some more astronauts heading up to the space station or something?
I think so. I think they're supposed to be going maybe next year, like beginning, I think around February, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
It's become semi-commonplace. We don't even think about it so much anymore. But if you were to look, and you can look this up online too, the majority of the astronauts have been Scouts.
Oh, wow.
Most of the people that have ever set their foot on the surface of the moon have been Scouts.
Wow. Really?
Great heritage. Yep.
What about any famous people? Like, has a president or anybody been an Eagle Scout or scout in the scouting?
Yes, actually, the President of the United States is the honorary president of Boy Scouts of America. And the Boy Scouts of America are one of the few institutions in this country that have a charter, a congressional charter, directly from the Congress of the United States, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You look that up too.
Dang.
You know, Gerald Ford was the only president who actually was a Eagle Scout.
Who? Oh, really? Okay.
Gerald Ford.
Oh, Gerald Ford. Okay.
Yeah. Remember the golfer that had trouble? That was Jerry. He seems to me he had a errant golf ball one time that made the news.
So give us a little bit of the history. How did the Boy Scouts even start it? Like, is there a legend? Is there a actual, like, a birth?
Yeah, so actually it was started in Britain by Lord Baden-Powell.
Wow.
And he served in the British Army, I believe, in places in Africa. And while in Africa, he realized that he started employing younger boys to teach them how to scout, which is where the word scout comes from. So he'd have them look, and in one instance, I believe, he even had a whole bunch of like younger teenage boys who were in his regiment. And so he had to train them and teach them. And then seeing all the good that came from like the army and stuff, he published, I can't remember the exact name, but basically a scouter's pamphlet, which taught them all these outdoor skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then he decided to take some boys up, and they went to an island, and they had their first scout camp where they were in patrols, which I believe it was like the wolf, the bear, names like that, those patrols. And they cooked, they worked, they built shelters, all that. And so it started in Britain, and then I believe a word got around, and it started getting spread to other countries. And then in 1910, I believe it opened up in America, because the legend goes there was an American newspaper editor in Britain, and he was lost, and a scout helped him find the way in London. And he was like, oh, yeah, I can help you. And then when the news editor tried to pay him, he was like, no, I'm a scout. This is just my good turn. And so then he took it back to America. And then in 1910, Boy Scouts of America happened. And it's advanced and, waxed and waned. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And how many members are in the Scouts here in the United States now? Are we talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or?
Probably something like that. I wouldn't know the exact number, but it is a lot of people.
Do you see more people getting in the Scouts, or kind of decreasing? Now everybody's playing on their telephones and stuff. They don't want to get out to the wilderness and do anything. Or what's the future now going forward with the Scouts?
I think the Scout program is changing a lot to adapt. Like, for example, one of the awards that we have nowadays are called the Anova Awards, which focus on science. Like, there's one about projectiles, so, like airplanes, rockets, stuff like that. Yeah. They have science things. They have more modern things. And then they also have a thing called Merit Badge, which is like a specialized class that you take to get a badge. And merit badges have a lot to do with things like there's merit badges about cycling. There's merit badges about automobile maintenance. There's it ranges from so many different things, which helps also keep it advancing and keep it in the modern age.
So how do you get a merit badge? You see like an activity that you want to do, and then just go out and get that merit badge? Because you mentioned like the automobiles is like, if you want to learn about cars, you go out and get a merit badge for that, or how does the merit badges work?
So there are 13 Eagle required merit badges, which means you have to get them in order to get Eagle. And so those ones are more like first aid, swimming, hiking, stuff like that. And so in order to get a merit badge, first you have to find a merit badge counselor, which is basically like your teacher. Like, they're going to help you, teach you about the merit badge. And then generally you take a merit badge class, which is where you learn all the information. If there are any activities, like demonstrate, like if you're talking about first aid, demonstrate how to wrap an arm in a sling, then you'd have to demonstrate it, you'd have to do it. And then eventually, once you've completed the class, you get a thing called a blue card, which is all the information basically saying you got the merit badge.
Okay.
Interesting.
So like for first aid, do you have like a paramedic that works with you or a fire station, or who kind of coaches you along to learn the first aid?
So the merit badge counselors, they have to fill out applications, which I believe they redo that every year. But basically you have to say that you're qualified. Either you're qualified as a merit badge counselor, or you'll bring in a guest who knows about first aid who can help teach the class. So for example, I did it. He was actually an assistant scoutmaster in my troop, but he works in a hospital. I believe he's a pharmacist. So because he had the qualified license, he was able to teach us the class.
Okay.
That's cool.
So you have professionals in their industry, I guess, so that to help you out too. So you got a lot of smart people helping. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People from Boeing, people from all different sorts of places.
Wow. Like for swimming, then is like you jump in a swimming pool, or how does that work? A lake, or do you have to do certain like strokes or?
So for swimming, we did that at the Y actually, because they sort of offered a class. But basically, you have to prove that you can swim a certain length. I think it was like a bit of front crawl, a bit of backstroke, prove that you can float. And then we also had to work on some rescue saves. We learned about if a person's drowning, how would you save them, and sort of like levels about that. Throw an object, then reach out, and then if you have to, get in the water and actually try and save them. Wow. So yeah, there are certain requirements you have to do in order to get it.
And you mentioned you have to learn how to cook too. Is that like outside cooking, or just cooking in the kitchen, or using a microwave?
That one was a bit of both. So I had to cook on a camp out. I believe I cooked spaghetti, which is pretty good. And then we cook at home. And I think you cook 3 meals plus a dessert at home. Dang. So I cooked like a foil dinner, a peach cobbler in a Dutch oven. And then you also have to know about foodborne illnesses, how to properly handle the food and prepare it, and also first aid in the kitchen if something went wrong.
Wow. So you learn a lot of life skills.
Yeah. Prepared for life.
I know.
Jump start. Now I see you reminiscing, Darel. So what was different for you back when you was a Boy Scout? Was you in the lake or was you in the swimming pool?
Well, that's a good question. I actually did my scuba in a YMCA pool.
Okay.
But I spent 2 summers, actually started out as a camper. And then the next year I was actually on the staff for the entire summer at a camp in Southern California. Okay. And I was a lifeguard and water instructor.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we spent a lot of time in the water. One of the stories, Allie was alluding to different merit badges. Another fun story about that locally, we've been blessed with tremendous adults in our scouting programs. A number of them are professionals, and a number of them are pilots, specifically some for Alaska Airlines. And once a year, typically in May, although this year it didn't happen, typically in May, Alaska Airlines will sponsor and the scouts can sign up and go up to Boeing Field and spend an entire day learning about the airline industry, tour the facilities up there, and even spend a little bit of time in a simulator. What? Now, those simulators run something around $8,000 to $10,000 an hour.
Oh, I bet.
So Alaska is really putting some money into this. Oh, wow. One of the fun stories that ties in with 525 is we've had a couple of pilots that work for Alaska Air. In fact, one of them, Big Bird is his call name. He just retired like 2 weeks ago. Oh, okay. So he hit retirement age. Neat family. But there was one of the trips where 525 was up at Boeing, and Boeing was getting ready to deliver one of their, probably a 737. I don't remember exactly which model, but they knew this was going to happen. So they had that exact plane getting ready to be delivered to the airlines, sitting on the tarmac there at Boeing Field in South Seattle.
Yeah.
And they invited all of the scouts, at least 525, I'm not sure if there are others, onto the plane. And they had to sit there on the plane for almost an hour because they were waiting for somebody to get to their laptop and hit the magic buttons so that the funding for the transfer of that plane to the airlines was official. So however millions of dollars were being transferred, when they hit the button on that laptop, it now belonged to the airlines. So moments after that occurred, they were given clearance to back off out onto the runway, and they took all of these scouts in a brand new Boeing airliner, and I think they just flew over to Moses Lake and did a loop and came back.
Oh, cool.
That's kind of a neat experience for a young person.
Yeah, for real. It really is.
Hit the button, boom.
Yeah, especially on the new liner. Oh yeah,
yeah.
The G liner.
Bit about how the economy works too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
A push of a button. Ain't that insane?
Is there a merit badge for learning your pilot's license?
Yes.
There isn't for a pilot's license, but there is one called aviation, which I actually took, and it was with Alaska Airlines, and I actually was able to fly a flight simulator that real pilots use. Oh, wow. So I landed a plane, didn't crash, which is pretty glad. Yeah. And then we were also able to tour some planes, learn about aviation, like what it is, what are qualifications. So that was it's not quite pilot's license, but it's close to it.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Well, we do have some of our 525 Eagle Scouts who have their license.
Oh, really?
Yep. So it'd be kind of neat to get them into your troop for a conversation at some point, huh, Allie?
We're definitely going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's always room. Earlier in our conversation, we were talking about you guys either had or thought you would have enjoyed some scouting as a youth. There's room for adults in scouting.
Oh, really?
We're always looking for smart folks like yourselves, business people and others who are willing to share some of your expertise with our youth. That's how things work in life. So there's some opportunities there.
Wow. So how would a person sign up to do something like that? Now, would that be to take them out camping, or would it be like for the specialties for their merit badges, or?
Could be any or all the above.
Okay.
You want to go camping with me?
I'll go camping with you, Darel. Come on, let's go.
It could happen. It could happen.
How about you, Eric?
What's
camping?
that?
You a camping type person?
Yeah. If Allie can cook the spaghetti, I'll go.
Oh, well, there we go. Allie?
All right, I'm down.
What are some good hikes around here? Allie, do you go up around Mount Rainier or?
Yeah, Mount Rainier is pretty good. I went backpacking a lot of the summer.
Yeah.
So a lot of places near Mount Rainier, a part of the Wonderland Trail, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So I did sections of that, not all of it. And then also some places on the Olympic Peninsula and the Olympic Mountains are pretty good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you go with your troop or just some of the troop members, or by yourself, or?
So this past summer, I was actually supposed to go to Philmont, High Adventure Camp, which is actually down in New Mexico, and I was supposed to spend 2 weeks backpacking. However, due to COVID, got canceled.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I do was with the troop that I was supposed to go there, because there were actually some different people from across sort of Washington. So we went backpacking. We even had search and rescue brought in once. That was,
For you guys?
Yeah, we one of our backpacking for training, we had search and rescue brought in.
Wow.
Wait, because you got lost? No.
Let's just say the trail was so bad. It was like thorns up to our shoulders. And then walking along, we had to forage our way through the river, because part of the trail, there was a 10-foot log in diameter across the trail. So there's no way to get a pass. And then there were river crossings. So we had to cross the river. But because it was they had like orange flags where we were supposed to cross and where the trail continued. But because it was so overgrown, we could hardly ever find the orange flags. And then it came to the point where we were like, okay, we just have to find a place to camp. We're not going to be able to make it to our campsite, because we were supposed to meet someone at our campsite.
Oh, yeah.
And then we ended up getting split up as a group. And then once we found a spot to camp for the night, I was like, okay, listen, if she's at the campsite, I'll blow my whistle. She'll hear, she'll blow back, you know?
Yeah.
And we blew. We heard something. It sounded like a whistle, so we kept going. Blow, hear it back, blow, hear it back. So we kept hiking. Eventually, we found our campsite, but she was not there. The lady who was supposed to meet us. It turns out we had been hearing a mockingjay, but
oh no,
it got us there. Which we're pretty happy about. However, there's a mother and a son who are also coming with us.
Yeah.
And they had to switch their shoes at every river crossing, whereas we had just had regular shoes. So they slowed behind and were behind us. And when we got to the 10-foot log and had to walk our way across the river because the trail was closed, we had no way to leave them a message, so we didn't know what happened to them. So in the morning, the lady who was supposed to meet us, she came down and she was like, oh my gosh, she had search and rescue on the radio because like at 10 o'clock at night, 30 minutes after we had gotten to the campsite, she left to call the deputies and get search and rescue. So at 8 in the morning, she came and we're like, oh, I found them. And then we're like, wait, no. Two members of our party are still lost. And it turns out the other members, they didn't have their tent with them, nor did they have all of their meals. They just had some snacks.
Oh, geez.
They were supposed to be at the campsite. So they, luckily, they found a place. They stayed. It didn't rain, luckily. And then they ended up walking 6 miles to the road. And then from there, I think it was another 6 miles until they found an old couple and they told them what was happening. And they took them to the search and rescue. So we ended up staying another night because for the requirements, we had to stay 2 nights.
Yeah.
And the next night, we just gathered firewood and called that good for the hiking requirements because you have to hike 15 miles.
Yeah.
But all throughout the day, we saw this search and rescue car driving across the road because we were right on the side of the road. And we're like, oh, what a coincidence. Someone else got lost. And by the second or third drive-by, we stopped them and we're like, you guys looking for someone? And they're like, I think we're looking for you. And it turns out whenever youth get lost in Washington, everyone gets notified for search and rescue.
Wow.
So the one team that had found us hadn't alerted anyone else. So that team was like, okay, we'll tell everyone else. But they had been looking for us for like another 6 hours or something.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
Yeah.
What an adventure.
Right?
They probably brought out a ton of people, too, to find you guys.
Yeah, I know they had dogs. I think they had one dog, a whole bunch of people, some cars.
Wow.
Speaking of search and rescue, there is, I believe, an Explorer post that is SNR. That's what they do.
Oh, really?
Search and rescue.
Yeah.
I bet there's Eagle Scouts and search and rescue too. I bet.
I'll bet you.
They gotta be.
So, Allie, as people are listening to this video cast, if you were a parent or a young person interested in scouting, how would you learn more, and who would you approach, or where would you look?
So if you want to like learn more about the scouting program, one thing you can always look online, local troops nearby, and then you can always find like our troop has a website, so you can find there. And then generally you can contact the scoutmaster or another person leadership in it. And then also other scouts, like I know we've had recruitment where I've talked to girls that I know and said like, hey, you should come to scouts with me, or just like reaching out to people. And so that's a good way. And then just finding a local troop nearby that would fit your needs. And then also like going, sitting in a movie, seeing if you like it. That's a good way to find out too.
So what are the differences between Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is.
So there isn't much of a difference. Like no requirements are different. The only difference is that we run separate troops. So like the GT and the BT, we hold different activities. I mean, sometimes we hold joint activities, but it very much depends on what we want. So with my troop, we also have separate leadership. So the leader or the president of the troop is called the senior patrol leader. So our troop, the GT girls troop, we have a separate patrol leader, senior patrol leader, and then the boy troop has a separate SBL.
Okay.
Do you happen to be familiar with the Girl Scouts of America also?
Oh, between Girl Scouts. So with Girl Scouts, I'm familiar with the program a bit. I know they focus more on like more home skills, I think. I know they also spend a lot of time on cookie sales, which, as you can imagine, they produce their amazing cookies. I don't think Girl Scouts does as much with the outdoor program as Scouts do. Like, I don't think they do as many high adventures or as much camping.
In your girls unit, do you happen to have some members that are doing both programs?
Yeah, so I think we actually have two, and I think both of them have achieved the gold award. Yeah. Or they're working on it. And so I know for them, they talk a lot about how it very much depends on their unit in Girl Scouts. I know one girl who her troop does some active things, while other Girl Scout troops might not do as many active things.
So how do you fundraise for money, I guess, to get funds? Because Girl Scouts do the cookie sales. What do the Boy Scouts do? Do they have something similar?
So the Boy Scouts have the you can always go for the popcorn sales, which are the popcorn that come in those metal tins, that you get at Christmas.
Yeah.
Our troop personally, we do swag sales. And swag, it's like a Christmas wreath, except it's not round, it's just sort of like centered shaped.
Yeah.
So we make it all ourselves. So we go to like a Christmas tree farm, we cut down all the branches, we gather them, bundle them, which is like a whole day's of work. And then we also tie on like little holly pieces. So we spend another day twisting together wires to tie the holly pieces together to make the bows. And then we spend like an entire weekend at a warehouse just assembling these massive wreaths. And then we sell those every November.
Wow. So if I wanted to purchase one this coming holiday season, how would I purchase one?
So what you could do is reach out to either Scouts, you could reach out to me or anyone else on the things, or you can also look up our troop website and then contact the Scoutmaster and say, hey, I'm interested in buying one. Do you know of a Scout that I can contact to purchase one from?
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That is.
What are some other ways do you guys get funded? You mentioned like the Rotary, Darel, or how else do you get funding to the Scouts?
I appreciate that question. Scouting is non-governmental. There are no public funds involved in scouting. So it is all charitable. It's volunteers. There are some paid staffers within the organization, but the vast majority of scouting is all volunteer. It's the parents, it's people like you and I that make it work. It's the Allie's. Here in a few years, she'll be an adult, and ideally she will continue to do some scouting and use the skills that she has learned as she gives back. There had been a time in which United Way used to fund scouting. That is no more. And so scouting is always looking for funds, as are most charitable organizations out there.
Yeah.
Good question. Once or twice a year, there are some public events that take place for fundraising. There was one in Lakewood this last, I think it was this last fall. And it often we'll bring in a name guest speaker and or performer, as do many other organizations, to put on a show and raise some funds in that fashion, together with auctions and so forth.
Okay.
There are dues in scouting. And so every family and or every scout has to come up with some skin in the game. And that's part of a life skill also. In our troop, we're very, very blessed, as Allie explained, that the swag project has been very profitable. And so in our troop, we are able to help almost anybody that wants to be a scout can either get scholarshiped or somehow we'll find a way that they can be part of the program. Yeah. So we've been blessed both monetarily and with a lot of great leadership.
Wow.
How much time do you have to dedicate to the Scouts? Because I know a lot of kids, they're busy going to school. And like you said, you're doing AP classes, and then they do sports too in the high school level. how much time do you have enough time to do scouts, or how much time does it take weekly or monthly, or how much do you have to dedicate your entire life to this, or how much time do you have to put into it?
Good question.
Very much like what you put in. So, for example, I'm part of the leadership of the troop because I'm one of the older girls.
Yeah.
So we meet pretty much every other Mondays, an hour before our regular meetings to plan and to talk about what we're doing. We also have general meetings every Monday, which go about for an hour.
Yeah.
And then recently we just had a court of honor, like a drive-in style for COVID. So we had to plan that. I worked and we spent like 3 hours on a Sunday writing the script for that. And then we had to meet probably like 30 minutes before at the court of honor to set up, to get everything ready. And then with all of the merit badge classes that I do, over the summer is easier because, no school. And then I also take classes for those, like online.
Yeah.
So the recent one I took, public health, was about an hour. I think maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours or 3 hours. And then my Eagle project, that took a lot of time. That was 1 week. That was like a weekend, and then another Monday, and then another weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like whatever you put in, then you're gonna get out of that pretty much.
Well put. Yeah.
So starting out, for the parents that want to get their kids into the Cub Scouts, I guess, is how much time do these little kids have to put into? Is it like once every couple of weeks they go there and meet and learn how to do knots and do fun little things, or?
I think, it'd be once a week, probably for an hour. And then also maybe like an hour or two a week at home, just practicing the skills. And then when you have a camp out, that generally is like a Friday to Saturday or Saturday to Sunday thing. And then from there, you weekend. And then with the requirements, some of them take longer than others, or you have to take specific classes. It's not so much for Cub Scouts, more for Scouts in general, but those might take like an hour or two and an extra day. But no, it's not too long.
So, Allie, how much of the family can be involved in scouting?
Oh, this is also very much a family program. Not so like when you're going on campouts. I know our troop we go on a river rafting campout every year, or we try to, and oftentimes we can invite other family members, or if you have like other campouts or big jamborees. Like there's a jamboree in Washington for all Washington Scouts called Wash Jam. And we took our whole family there. And I went back in 2016 when I was in a scout, but my brother and my dad were involved. So we got to go to that and camp. And then there's also activities that you can do at home. Like for part of the home cooking, you involve your whole family. Like I had my family, I told them, hey, I need your help cooking this, or we're going to cook this tonight. And then also with camping skills, I know I've helped my brother learn something else because he's younger than me. And then we've also worked together. So
that's pretty cool. So this is a really family organized program group. Yeah.
Wow. There's actually even a family life merit badge, which you have to get for Eagle.
Wow.
The Wash Jam that Allie was talking about is a really incredible experience. It happens only every 4th year. So most youth only get an opportunity to participate in that once or twice in their entire youth career.
Yeah.
Wow.
It has typically been held at JBLM, where they have given us hundreds of acres of basically raw land and said, here, have your camp out. So we have to turn that into a little mini city with all the tents, all of the water, the sanitation. It's quite a project.
Wow.
So there's a lot of opportunities there for both youth and adults to get involved. The next Wash Jam, it got canceled. It was supposed to occur here in 2020.
Yeah.
And that has been postponed to 2021. Okay. So we are at this time working on the plans to see if that can occur this coming August. There's another program. How many people missed the fair this year?
We all did.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Scouts have been involved in the Puyallup or the Washington State Fair forever, at least since the 1930s that I'm familiar with. There's a program that I didn't even know about until a few years ago, where Scout youth, as well as the supervising adults, are behind the scenes on the fairgrounds every single hour that fair is open when it's the fair.
Yeah.
So both spring and fall, there are scouts somewhere on that fairgrounds working, doing volunteer work, basically.
Yeah.
They even have an office that's hidden up behind the grandstands, and they are on call to the fair administration. They act both as ambassadors, because anytime somebody sees a scout in uniform, really anywhere, but particularly at the fair, people will come up and ask them questions. How do I find this? Where's the bathrooms? Hey, I've got lost and found. What do I do with it? And then the fair administration will also have a lot of errands to run. Can you please get this package over to the other side of the fair? And it's easier to get the scouts to do that than to have hired extra people. So since the 1930s, scouts have been involved at the fair for every hour that fair has been open. I didn't know this, but apparently back where the farm buildings are, at one time there was an old house that was considered the scout headquarters.
Oh, really?
And some of the scouts would actually live there during the fair, and the scouts back in the old days, they were actually first responders if there were first aid issues, lost and found issues. Long before the fire departments and the police departments had their own offices right on the fairgrounds. So those duties have been taken over by the professionals to a large degree, but the scouts have still been involved.
Wow.
That's pretty neat. That's really neat. That's really cool. That is. Wow. Since the 30s. You can find some of these in old clips too. That's how I learned about it. Pictures of some of the youth, and some of the names just fascinate me. The who's who here in Edgewood or Milton or Puyallup, you start seeing these family names over and over and over again, and a whole lot of them have been involved in scouting. Yeah. Do you want to touch briefly on the concept of the BSA bankruptcy? Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. For some people, this is a touchy issue. People who are online or even in TV, what do you call them? The lawyers are all over the TV right now, asking, have you been abused by scouts? And what is that all about? Well, much like the Catholic Church, have there been abuse issues in the past? And the answer is yes, undoubtedly. What's the right thing to do? The Boy Scouts of America, as a national entity, decided that they were going to honor any of the abuse situations by pooling a large sum of money, both insurance and just plain cash, so that anybody who felt that they had an abuse situation in the past is invited to make that known, talk to their attorneys, and there is compensation available as well as counseling for those situations, no matter when that occurred.
Wow.
Since, and most of this, of course, is ancient history, stuff that occurred long before you and I were even born.
Yeah.
But it just seems to be the scout thing to do, to be upfront and say, we want to do what's right for all of anybody who has had this situation occur. So that's what the bankruptcy is about. The bankruptcy itself is a legal tool to put closure on this issue, so that scouting can continue into the future for our youth without having that cloud over us forever and ever and ever. And I think that's a pretty safe, pretty accurate description of what this bankruptcy situation is. There is a deadline. I believe it's mid-November. Mm-hmm. So adults, if you had an issue, please talk to your attorney or talk to, actually, I think there's an 800 number. You can talk to the scouts and do something about it now.
That is pretty noble, because
Yeah,
many other organizations just try to cover it up and don't admit that it ever happened. But it's nice you guys are coming up front and say, hey, yes, it did happen, but it was in the past, and we're going to do something about it.
Yeah, we're going to make a change. We're going to be 100% transparent.
I like the way you guys are interpreting that. That's really, really healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, some of the things that have occurred over the last couple of decades, and Allie's familiar with these things, is we have a youth safety program that has evolved every one of us as an adult. In fact, when Allie turns 18 and adults out of the youth part of the program, she will be required to take youth safety training. Okay. And in our scouting program, it is one of the best trainings out there. So other organizations, churches, schools, and so forth will either come up with a training program of their own. Many of them are patterned on what the Scouts do, or they'll even use the Scout program. And this is something that as adults, we have to participate in at least annually, so that we're kept up to date on what is child abuse and what do we do? What are the protocols? How do we keep our youth safe? And each other, for that matter.
Yeah, that is really good stuff, because I mean, what you could do 20 years ago is different right now. Like, things are always changing with more knowledge and more things that we're learning. I mean, I guarantee you ask someone from 20 years ago, half the stuff they probably thought was it abuse, and it is abuse. So that's really cool that you guys are really addressing that and just being like, yo, we're here to help. We're here to make sure that the information is there, and we're going to make sure that we put it into this. So that's really cool, Darel. Really is.
It is. One of the comments about what scouting is that I really, really like is scouting is a safe environment in which youth can make mistakes and learn. And I think that's kind of a really healthy way of looking at things in life. We try things. You may not get that knot right in the first time. You may even need first aid if you don't hold that knife correctly. Yeah, but it's done in as safe a manner as we can provide, but still make it a learning experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think about that, Allie?
Yeah, it talks about training and how, like, when you do make a mistake, how can you focus on readjusting and not make the mistake. And then with the YPT, which is the youth protection training that he was talking about, it actually, I've had to take it because I also was set up to staff a camp. So not only are adults taking it, but youth are also learning of it, making sure that we're aware of the rules so that we can help enforce it, make sure that we're following it, and then we don't do anything wrong either.
Definitely. That's really neat. That really is. I'm happy you guys really addressed that, because I bet you there's a lot of viewers that really needed to hear that.
Well, we've got an election coming up nationally and locally. How do scouts fit into things on that scale, Allie? What do you think about citizenship?
So citizenship is also a large part of scouting, because scouting is a worldwide organization in the sense that pretty much every country has a scouting program of their own, and there are actually merit badges for citizenship in the nation, citizenship in the community, and citizenship in the world that are required. But scouts, we like to pride ourselves in making sure that we that we are serving our nation, that we are serving our community. So we participate in a lot of service projects so that we can make sure that we are helping people, and then also making sure that we just aware of the issues and that we are more just aware of what's happening. And then we also in the sense we really just like to serve our nation.
Right.
So is scouting political in any way?
No, not really. We don't really try to get ourselves into political situations. We always try to keep those in a knot. We try to stay scout appropriate and not get into political issues, because that can lead to arguments and everything.
Yeah.
Is scouting religious in some fashions?
Yeah, scouting is considered a religious organization. However, they do have different awards or different like things that you can do for different religions. So there are Christian awards. There are awards, I believe, for other religions. I think they might have some Jewish awards. So while we do our religious organization, we also respect everyone's faith and make sure that we're inclusive of everyone. So it isn't like an exclusive, oh, sorry, you're not allowed. We welcome everyone.
That's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah. So you guys definitely let everyone in and just, make sure everyone feels equal and welcome. You guys are more treating them like a brotherhood and sisterhood than anything else, while understanding and learning from differences. That's really cool. That's neat. Neat citizenship.
So when did they allow the females into the Boy Scouts, and how did that transition? How did people feel about that with the transition over? I'm sure you had some old timers with like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, so the transition occurred, I believe it started talking about it around 2018. And before they let girls into the scouting program, they actually opened up Cub Scouts to females. So Cub Scouts became girls and boys. And then around February 2019 is when they officially let girls start their own troops and become a part too. So I joined in March 2019.
Okay.
And a lot of it, we had to build our troop up from the beginnings. And then, of course, with every new change, there's going to be pushbacks. I mean, we've had a bit of pushbacks, but we work through it. And we have our troop has an amazing scoutmaster, and she's been helping make sure that we have all the equal opportunities, that we are able to do everything, and that we won't be limited by, being girls.
That's awesome.
So, Darel, I have a question for you. Hopefully this ain't too touchy. Why was it in the beginning it was only just Boy Scouts? Why did they let ladies in? Can you shine a little light on that?
Well, I'm sure some of that is just a matter of conjecture. Baden-Powell's wife actually helped begin some of the Girl Scouting programs, which is GS, Girl Scouts USA. And there was a time, as I understand the history, there was a time when Campfire was the sister organization to Boy Scouts back in the 20s, 30s, in that era. In fact, up until the 1960s, I think it was, Campfire was still associated with Scouting. So there have been different times in which these organizations have ebbed and flowed. Ask me that question again.
So what was the reason why ladies wasn't able to join the Boy Scouts? What was the issue with that in the beginning?
I don't know that. I don't know that I have a pat answer for that one.
Oh, okay.
There had been different organizations for the two genders.
Okay, so it's just recently that
Allie?
the Boy Scouts is open up.
Yeah, I think part of it in the beginning was because there were gender norms in society, and I don't think it was quite acceptable in society for girls to be out camping and doing all these things. But with recent in last decades, how there's been gender equality and how we've been recognizing that girls can do anything that boys can do, I think scouting opened up. Because like my brother, he's been a part of Cub Scouts. I've attended some meetings with him. I've been camping. I was raised pretty much following part of the scout program because my dad's been assistant scoutmaster. And then I've always wanted to be part. And I think a lot of girls across the nation, because, there are so many girls who have joined, also felt that, we wanted to be a part. We've always attended our brother's troops or been camping. And then finally they decided that it was time to open up. Because I think, Girl Scouts, as in the other organization, is the organization for girls. I don't think they quite offer the same things. While both are equally awesome programs, I think Boy Scouts is more camping, which is what we wanted to do.
Right, to be equal.
There are a couple of things that we learned in this process, and thank you. I appreciate that history, Allie. You're correct. The Cub Scouts opened up even before the Boy Scouts. There have been girls in the Boy Scouts of America programs almost from the beginning. And at least for the last 50 years, as you go through the Explorers and the Venture Crews. So girls have been part of the program at different levels for a long time. The official bringing them in is more recent.
Okay.
A slight chauvinistic comment, Allie, from me is trying to answer the question a couple of years ago. Well, do we have to have separate troops for girls if they come and join us, or how do we do this? And an example was given to those of us in leadership. They used Australia as an example because apparently in Australia, they were separate boys and girls organizations. I have to look it up. Maybe 20 years ago is when they decided to go co-ed. Okay. And when they went co-ed in Australia, what started happening is the troops, they went full co-ed. Boys and girls in the same organizations, met together, camped together, the whole 9 yards. What started happening is the troops started losing boys. Can you think why, Allie?
I mean, I can imagine why. Probably.
What they discovered was, particularly in the teen years, in that 11 to 18 range, girls have a tendency to be more mature than the boys. So as leadership opportunities arose within those new scouting units, the girls took over. And the guys did not get the opportunity to learn leadership within their own boy-led unit. Okay. So in the United States, the decision was made, and the recommendation was, just have separate units. Let the girls go at their pace. Let the boys go at their pace. They can work together when it makes sense to do so, but they can have separate leadership structures so that everybody learns at a pace that works well for them at this point in their lives.
That makes sense. That really does.
So for the Eagle Scout, is it the same qualifications that you have to do as a boy, or is it different? Or
it's the exact same. So all the requirements are the same. We both have to do Eagle Scout projects. We both have to for boys and girls, both of them have to have leadership positions, help serve their fellow scouts and their community. So none of the requirements change.
I think the females are going to do a better job than the guys.
Yeah,
guys
definitely.
Don't pay attention to detail.
Definitely agree.
A lot of girls have been, fast pass. We're going to get this done. We're going to go for it.
So then you officially become in February the first Eagle Scout graduating class, or what is it?
So because Boy Scouts in America national, they don't want to have a girl be able to claim I was the very first Eagle. They made the inaugural class. So every group of girls within this time period, I believe it's from October to December, who have their board of review, which is where they say that you qualify for an Eagle Scout. Yeah. Girls from there get in the inaugural class, and then all of our official dates will be February 8th, I believe, which is National Scouting Day, I'm pretty sure. Okay. That's just to make sure no one can claim that title, though.
Wow. Do you go somewhere to get the award, or is it I guess now with the COVID, you probably have to do something like Zoom. Do you get all the Eagle Scouts together and get presented the award, or how does that work?
So we more have the Court of Honor. So it's called an Eagle Court of Honor, which will happen after sometime in February, hopefully either Zoom or something. But what happens at an Eagle Court of Honor, you can do it with other Eagles from your troop. I think for my case, I'm probably going to do it by myself because I'm going to be the first girl in my troop. But that's where you get recognized as an Eagle. You go through your ceremony. You get your award and your patch. And then it's mostly a celebration of your scouting career up until Eagle. So you talk about the merit badges, fun stories, stuff like that.
Well, and I hope Allie will take advantage of one of the things we do here at our studio, and that is for the last 12 or 15 years, we provide a complimentary Eagle Scout portrait for any of these youth who have earned that rank. So it's something that can be used for publicity. It can be in the local newspaper. It can be put on display at the Court of Honor. In fact, yesterday I was doing an Eagle Scout portrait right over there with a young man who from another troop who was just finishing his. So Allie may be one of the very first girl Eagle Scouts that we get to photograph.
That's awesome.
Congratulations. I'm gonna give you a hand clap early.
So since you're only a sophomore, then what do you do after the Eagle Scout? Do you continually, is there more badges you get, or you just hang up your uniform and say, okay, I'm an Eagle Scout and then move on with life? Or what do you do after you're the Eagle Scout?
Well, Eagles can, after they get Eagle, decide to hang up their uniform. It's not really encouraged. Like, I want to stay in the Scout program. Currently, I have merit badges. I think I have somewhere around 30 merit badges, but there are actually, I believe it's 138 merit badges that you can actually get. Yeah. And then after you get Eagle, there's a thing called Eagle Palms, which is like a little feather pin that goes on your award. Yeah. And in order to get an Eagle Palm, which there's bronze, gold, and silver in that order, you have to earn merit badges, and you have to stay active in your troop in order to get them as well. So I believe it's for each 5 merit badges, you get a bronze for each. And then when you get 10, you get a gold, and 15, you get silver. And so you can get those up until, 138 merit badges. And there are also some other awards. Like right now, I'm trying to get the Hornaday Award, officially named after William T. Hornaday, which is a conservation project. So my Eagle project would count for that. And I'm trying to go for the Silver Award because there are different tiers for this award. And then I'm also have to do, for the requirements, you have to do 2 more Eagle-sized projects. So I'm looking at, in the same park that I did my Eagle project previously, I'm looking at building bee hotels. And then I have to do another project to help serve the community that's conservation focused. So I'm looking at earning that award. And then there are some other awards. Some of them are called the National Outdoor Awards, which is focusing on like some high adventure stuff that I'm looking at doing. And then I'm also going to Philmont for a 2-week backpacking trip next summer. So there's still some things that I'm looking forward to in scouting because it's an amazing program, Eagle or not.
Are there scouts out there that get every single merit badge?
Oh yeah, you see in the news on their merit badge sashes, which is what, like a sash that you hold all your merit badges. You see it full, and they have 2 or 3. It's insane.
Wow. How many do you get, Darel?
Good question. I don't know if I ever remember. I did not make Eagle.
Really?
One of my parents died when I was 16, and that kind of effectively ended my scouting career at that point. Okay. However, both of my sons are Eagle Scouts. Oh, so it does run in the family. And my father was an Eagle Scout. And you mentioned the Palms. I know my father had 3 of them. So there's a legacy factor there. You've been talking about some of these Eagle projects, and one that has a little bit of community tie-in that I'm familiar with is a recent one that was just completed up at Mountain View Lutheran Church. Out in our spare acreage is a brand new, it's owned by the church, but it's basically a community fire pit.
Oh, nice.
Really a fancy one too. Part of the reason for mentioning that is to honor the Eagle that worked on that. And these Eagle projects, it's almost like a miniature MBA type of an experience. They have to figure out the financing. They have to figure out the logistics. They have to work with both adults and youth to get the project done. So it's quite an experience doing that. But this particular fire pit has now just started to be in use, and it is going to also be available to the Scouts and as the community has needs, particularly for flag retirements. Okay. Anybody got some old American flags that are tattered and worn and they're not sure what to do with them?
Yes.
Putting them in the trash is not cool.
I know.
You don't do that.
There is an official program for retiring American flags with honor, and Boy Scouts is one of the few organizations that does provide that service. So if you're watching this and you've got some flags that need to be retired, I know City Hall in Edgewood will collect them and turn them over to the Scouts. We actually have storage areas with hundreds of flags that need retiring. Wow. And so maybe once a month or every quarter, different scouting units will make a specific campfire evening with a program that is the flag retirement, so that these flags are being honored as they are being disposed of.
Do you have to retire them one by one, or do you a group burn, or how does that work?
What I have experienced is that typically the ceremony is done completely for the very first flag, and then the additional flags are ceremonially folded and unfolded and placed in the flames for disposal.
Okay. Wow.
So each flag is individually saluted as it is being retired.
Got it.
So that explains why there's so many, because it probably takes a long time to just get through them, I would imagine.
Yeah, I have been at some of these where they've literally done 100 flags in one evening. It's quite a project.
Wow.
And you just bring that up to the city of Edgewood up there and drop it off?
That's one place. Wilco Farm Stores has been another place that is collected. I'm guessing that Tractor Supply may have a bin also. Interestingly, when I talked to, I think it was Wilco, they were taking all of their flags and shipping them down to Oregon, where they knew of some scouts that could do the ceremony. So there are opportunities for service, even to our Wilco people. They don't have to ship them all down there.
Very cool. Well, I have a flag sitting at home that needs to be properly disposed of, so maybe I'll bring it up to the city of Edgewood.
Speaking of city of Edgewood and the flags, those are the of us that have been up and down Meridian for the last half a year now, and passing the Edgewood City Hall. The flag that is on the barn in front of City Hall was originally with Troop 525. The troop acquired that as a donation, and it was then gifted to the city of Edgewood. Wow. And that flag is now purposely been on the barn for about half a year, I think. Dang, much longer than normal.
Yeah.
If you look online, you'll see some of our new deputies, some of our sheriffs, photographs being taken with the flag in the background.
Yeah.
You will also see posts from the Old Coots on Scoots, our local adult motorcycle organization that volunteers their time for a number of things in our community. They volunteer up at the Edgewood Food Bank, the Edgewood Community Center. They put that flag up and take it down off of the barn twice a year. They are also the ones who string the Christmas lights for the Edgewood City Christmas tree every November. Usually the lights go up. So lots of things going on in our community.
Yeah. How do we get the Old Coots on our show here next time?
I'll bet you that could be arranged.
Make it happen.
They'd be fun.
Yes, they would. They're a fun bunch of guys and gals.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's cool learning about the thank alley and stuff like that. So, and you plan to go to college? You have a college that you want to go to, thinking about yet?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at going to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah.
Oh my gosh! Then you got to do your mission too down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're busy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Do you do sports too?
Sorry, what?
Do you play sports for the Bonnie Lake High School or anything?
Not at the moment with COVID, but I do go backpacking and hiking. So over the summer, like I did a 5-day, 30-mile backpacking. I did the search and rescue one, which I was telling you guys about. So did a lot of that over the summer.
Jesus. So you do AP. I bet you get straight A's too, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
On a roll.
Nothing but the best on this show here, guys.
All the Eagle Scouts are smart. They all go to college.
Well, speaking of all these segues, you familiar with the name Mike Rowe?
Yeah, Dirty Jobs, right?
Yep. Yep. You ever watch his podcast?
I've watched the show and I've heard this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Stick that on something to do. He is an Eagle Scout.
Okay.
He is also a distinguished Eagle Scout, which means as an adult he's been honored for that role, for his example. I don't know if it was the last one, at least a couple times ago, the National Jamboree, he was one of the guest speakers at the National Jamboree, which takes place back on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Neat guy. His head is just in a fun place.
Yeah.
Love the show.
Yeah.
Dirty Jobs.
That's cool. I didn't realize he was an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
And he's quite an advocate for non-college.
Oh,
really?
Yep. He even has an institute that if you do not go to college and you qualify for a trade school through his institute, he's got scholarships out there available.
Oh, wow.
Cool stuff.
Oh, wow.
Still go to college, Allie.
Yep, go.
Go. BYU.
Mm-hmm.
On there. Well, cool.
You guys got more questions, or is this a good time
No,
to start winding down?
Man, a lot of good information.
Yeah,
and, what the Scouts are doing out there is just amazing. I know that the exact park behind up there by Fred Meyer, the movie theater, Bonnie Liquid, you did. So I'm going to go up there and check that out. So,
Definitely.
Yeah.
The alley trail. What do you call it?
The alley-oop.
The alley oop. Oh, alley oop. Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool. We're good there.
That's awesome. So I'll check that out and say, hey, I know who made this trail. Tell my
Take
wife.
a selfie right next to it.
Yep.
So, Allie, did you get the link to this sent out so that the other Scouts are able to watch this, or how can people watch this that were not able to be on this morning?
It'll be on our Northwest Custom Apparel Facebook, and then probably on your Facebook too, Darel. So we'll make sure you guys get the links, and
Yes, sir.
it'll be on YouTube and everything. You're going to be a movie star, Allie.
Yep.
Everybody in Edgewood's going to love you.
Scout famous.
So, well, thank you so much. Well, you got to go back to school now. You're probably online, right?
Not today, actually. Today we don't have school, but normally I would be.
That's right.
What's today's holiday?
Yeah, not a holiday, just like a teacher work day, I think. Just like a teacher, you can like have extra time to just focus on your assignments and all.
Gotcha.
So students have it off, but teachers don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. We're going to sign off here, but it's a pleasure meeting you, Allie, and I'll be up there checking out your trail. And Darel, it's always a pleasure here. You didn't talk as much as you used to, Darel. You didn't talk as much.
Good.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much, Darel. Thank you, Allie. We're going to sign you guys off, and
Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend, guys.
have a good weekend. Oh yeah, that was good. Wow,
That was a good one. Wow. So
information.
the Scouts do a lot for not only the community but worldwide.
Worldwide, yeah.
know.
It's just and it's cool how the females are being allowed into the Scouts.
It really is. It shows how society is changing, which is awesome.
Actually, I think that the girls will do a lot better than the guys.
Oh, hands down. I'm not surprised.
Don't pay attention to anything.
No.
Females will do everything perfectly by the book.
Perfect and neatly. Us, you already know, we're gonna probably do it maybe 50%, 65% tops.
So it's good to have the gals here in the Scouting world and stuff. So
Keep the guys in check.
Well, we've been over about over an hour and a half.
This has been our longest episode.
It was one of the longest episodes, but it was good. A lot of information and
A lot of information.
Like that,
So if anybody out there, all our viewers want more information about the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, please email me at ken@northwestcustomapparel.com. And then, I send you some information or give you information for Darel to give you more information on joining or giving out donations. And anybody else that wants to be part of the Referral Sender, please reach out. It's very easy. The only thing you need is a microphone and a webcam and good internet.
Yes. And like we want to say, we want to make sure you are
here for good.
We'll see you guys until next week. Bye now.